Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly Books True Crime. My name is Gisela K, and today we're going to be looking at sentence by sentence, line by line, of the Houston Police Department's Chief Troy Finner's press statement or press conference, press release yesterday. So let's have a look at that. Let's get started. Before we get started, if you are not yet subscribed, please do subscribe and hit the bell. It's free and you'll get all things Grizzly Books True Crime. And if you like this sort of video and this type of analysis where I've literally sat all morning and transcribed this press conference, even though we've got closed captions on and I can see the words there, I can't help but also transcribe this into a document. It's just how I roll, just to make double sure, and still some of the things, man, some of those questions were so quiet. I'm like, what? I had these these on at 100% volume and I'm like trying to make out every word. There's one or two words that I'm like, I don't know. So, but anyway, I've written down everything that I can. We will go through it now, line by line, piece by piece, and I'll offer you some commentary on it. So if you like that, hit the thumbs up. Or give it a hug. Give the thumbs up. Give the like button a hug.
Just want to start by...
Wait, we got to go right to the beginning, where we can see him walk onto the stage and everything. Up to the podium. Is that what it's called?
We're on time. Everybody ready?
Everybody ready?
Good afternoon, everyone. Just want to start by being really intentional on one thing, and I think I was on Saturday. There's nothing more important than the families. We have 8 families who lost loved ones. We have 2 families that have loved ones in the hospital in critical condition.
So I'm going to pause it for a second and just say that apparently yesterday a woman was declared brain dead. She was only 22, or she is only 22. That is devastating. And Ezra, the 9-year-old boy, is still fighting for his life as well. So those could be the 2 in critical condition, but I believe that these are the numbers they're sticking to. By they, I mean all the press releases, media and everything, but that it could be more. Many people were injured, so I don't think it's only 2 that are in the hospital, but he said in the hospital in critical condition. So maybe there's only 2 in critical condition, but I believe that 25 people went to hospital. But yes, absolutely, I agree with him, thinking about the families.
So I want to be respectful of that. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of rumors, a lot of opinions, a lot of speculations, and where it's not helpful and it's harmful to the families, when it's authorities that's saying that. Everybody.
Okay, then discipline the authorities who are saying that. It feels like I mean, like like in school when you're like, ooh, the principal wants to talk, and the principal talks to everyone, but really they're talking about like 1 or 2 people, right? Those individuals who took those fire extinguishers off of the walls in the corridor, you will be dealt with. And like, oh, but that wasn't me, right? But anyway, the point is, I wonder which authorities are responsible for opinions, speculations, and rumors that are, of course, not helpful to the families of the victims.
It has their role in society, and I respect those roles, but I also expect us to be decent.
I feel like he's talking to the media. He means the media, right? Authorities, meaning journalists, the media. He expects everyone to be decent. Absolutely.
And consider those families. And that includes our Houston Harris County officials.
Scroll down.
The rumors, speculations, your opinions.
I like how angry he is right now. rumors, speculations, your opinions. It's like, oh my word, you know? It must be very frustrating, but he's definitely showing frustration there.
Let them be that, but let us conduct our investigation. I just want us to all, as a city, as a nation, pray for these families. Can't imagine what they're going through right now. But while I'm going to discuss parts of the criminal investigation and take a few questions, please be mindful. There are going to be a number of questions I cannot answer due to the ongoing investigation.
Remember, is this also giving you like, oh man, here we go again? Remember Dr. Brent Blue when he had his own press release to talk about Gabby Petito's autopsy, and we were all like, whoa. And he's like, there are a number of questions that I cannot answer, and that was most of the ones that were asked. Luckily, in this scenario, many questions were actually answered, so let's see how it goes.
That would include specific timelines, amongst other aspects of this tragedy. Timelines are a major focus.
I need to scroll again, I can see. That would include specific timelines amongst other aspects of this tragedy. So the timeline started from already 9 in the morning on November 5th, okay, which is interesting. You'll see why later. Sorry, my hair's all like sparkly. Never mind.
Focus of the investigation right now. This type of investigation is going to take weeks, possibly months. So I ask everyone to allow us to let the investigation lead us to the facts as to what, how, and why this occurred.
Yes. That's what we want to know.
As police chief, I can promise you one thing. My team, we're going to be laser focused on investigating the facts.
I like it, and I love the term laser focused.
Not pointing fingers at other organizations. Again, assumptions and opinions are not helpful. Our detectives will focus on facts and evidence to include the actions of all parties, including our agency.
She says that a few times, to include the actions of all parties, including our agency. And later, when there's questions asked about what is the nature of the criminal investigation, I don't know if we'll look at this whole thing together. Of course, that's why we're here. It just seems like there is a little bit of a speculation that some of the police officers are in some way involved. I don't know. It's interesting. Let's keep watching.
We will not investigate this case in the media, nor at press briefings. I hope everyone understands and respects that. As I speak, our detectives are meeting with our partners of the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. Autopsies and toxicology tests, it takes some time before that's completed.
2 to 3 weeks, am I right? We know that right now, right? Based on all these other cases we've been watching so closely.
Understand we won't have the causes or manner of death right away. Our detectives have been working around the clock, and I want to thank them. Proud of the work that they're doing. They have viewed hours of video from the air, from the ground, and witnessed and gathered statements from numerous witnesses and victims. And there's still more to come.
Obviously, the word victims would mean victims of a crime. So I'm still wondering, what is the crime? Gathered numerous statements from witnesses and victims. So to gather statements from victims, it's obviously victims who survived whatever the crime was. Is the crime crowd crashing, overcapacity, or is it drug related crimes? Is it drugs being laced with something? Is it really that someone was injecting people? Because he debunks that in this, which is interesting. And we'll look back at the previous statement as well.
Let me talk about our role with the FBI, as that question has come up a lot over the past couple of days. Those are our partners. And my partner, Perry Turner, the FBI SAC of the Houston region, We talk about all major cases.
Yes, and if only Arizona had that. Buckeye, Arizona. That's the first case that comes to mind, where in the Daniel Robinson case, man, if Buckeye could just please contact the FBI to get some assistance, that would be great. Daniel Robinson went missing in a desert where his car was found in a ravine, so that is what would qualify the FBI to get involved, but they haven't contacted the FBI. It needs to be activated by the police department saying, FBI, we need your help on this one. And Chief Troy Finner did that. He says, those are our partners and my partner, Perry Turner, the FBI SAC of the Houston region. We talk about all major cases. That's the kind of partnership we have. Okay.
That's the kind of partnership we have. If we need, and when we need their assistance, he's there. We have a meeting scheduled for, I think, sometime Friday.
Just going to scroll a bit. Wait. I also want to, while we listen to that, I'm quickly going to look if I can find Perry Turner on LinkedIn.
And he's there. FBI and all other federal partners. Just to be clear, HPD Homicide is investigating this case. We're taking lead on it.
Did you hear that? Wait. See, he's not on here. I can't find him. He said, that's the kind of partnership we have. If we need, and when we need their assistance, he's there. So when he says he's there, he didn't say the FBI is there. He said he's there, referring to Perry Turner. If we need, and when we need their assistance, he's there. We have a meeting scheduled for, I think, sometime Friday, right? Let me just go down. We have a meeting scheduled for, I think, sometime Friday, right? Okay.
My goal here again, not Perry Turner.
I'm just going to hear it one more
SAC
time.
of the Houston region.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about all major cases. That's the kind of partnership we have. If we need, and when we need their assistance, he's there. We have a meeting scheduled for, I think, sometime Friday, and he's there.
And he's there.
FBI and all other federal partners.
Okay, now he said the FBI and all other federal partners. I don't know who the other federal partners are. But okay, Perry Turner will be there. He said he's there, so Perry Turner, the FBI, and all other federal partners. And then, just to be clear, HPD, the Houston Police Department, Homicide, is investigating this case. We're taking a lead on it, so Homicide is what I heard. How about you?
Just to be clear, HPD Homicide is investigating this case. We're taking lead on it. My goal here again, is not to cast blame on any organization, but update you to some aspects of the investigation.
My goal here again now is not to cast blame on any organization, but update you to some aspects of the investigation.
First of all, and most importantly, this is not a City of Houston sanctioned event. It's a Harris County sanctioned event. A lot of talk been discussed about the original contract. City of Houston Police Department did not take part of writing that or agreeing to the original contract. Harris County, NRG, and Live Nation participated in that.
Okay, so one more time, a lot of talk has been discussed about the original contract. The City of Houston Police Department did not take part in that, are agreeing to the original contract. Okay, Harris County, NRG, which is where Astroworld happened, and Live Nation participated in that.
Saturday, I spoke of some numbers, and someone asked about the previous numbers. Let me give those to you. In 2018, there were 170 officers. that worked that event. 2019, we increased to 240. This year, the number was 500, around 530. The investigation into the security of Live Nation, the security personnel, I'm not comfortable with numbers yet what they're giving us. The challenge is you have 3 or 4 security companies, and some of the records are not good, so I'm not comfortable with.
Apparently, it was a very informal way of hiring security personnel, where people could just apply online, and they would accept something like $50 through Cash App or Venmo to be there and collect their security jackets and work the event. So that's scary.
Laying out a number, that's going to be part of the investigation. Questions asked to the roles of law enforcement. As any other event, law enforcement, and on this event, traffic enforcement, our roles, traffic management, securing the perimeter. Big thing and a big challenge.
Hold on. So that sentence was a bit jumbled there, but the role of law enforcement, event traffic management, securing the perimeter. And then this part is quite interesting.
Was merchandise tents. Very sought after merchandise. That's what caused some of the kids rushing towards that and breaking barriers, breaking down barriers.
I wonder what that merchandise was for real. I really wonder what it was. Someone actually asked that question later, but what was so important? And I would only speculate and assume that Travis Scott saying, bring the rage and he'll get the wild ones in and all of this. It's on his Instagram as well, if you want me to deep dive that. To say, don't worry, I'll get you wild ones in, even when the tickets were already sold out. He said he'll get the wild ones in. So what was it? Maybe it was that if they rushed forward and grabbed a piece of merch, something, that would help them get in. I don't know. But that already happened from early in the morning.
The role of Live Nation. They had many roles out there, but one role was to secure what we refer to as mosh pits. There were 2 of them directly in front of the stage. Early stages of our investigation, statements have been revealed to HPD personnel. HPD personnel told necessary personnel of the performance in charge that CPR was underway on 1 or more individuals.
That whole sentence sounded uncomfortable to say. Early stages of our investigation statements have been revealed to HPD personnel. HPD personnel told necessary personnel of the performance in charge that CPR was underway on 1 or more individuals. I don't know. There definitely was a disconnect in communication, because maybe they did say CPR was successfully performed on several individuals, and he corrects himself there by saying, was underway. Do you know what I mean? I think what was probably communicated was, yep, it's been successfully administered, and yet it wasn't successfully administered. A few 1 or more individuals were being attended to with CPR.
They were told that. We communicated that to them. The time and the actions of the personnel in charge of the performance, or the production team, who received that information. I'm not going to speak to the reasons or the time, and that's a part of the investigation.
Okay, so that's where things went wrong. They say they were told that, right? So HPD personnel told the necessary personnel of the performance in charge. So the people in charge of the performance, the production team, Live Nation, is that who we're talking about? But anyway, let's focus. The necessary personnel of the performance in charge. And they say they were told that we communicated that to them. The time and actions of the personnel in charge of the performance, same words, or the production team who received that information. I'm not going to speak to the reasons all the time. That's part of the investigation. So it means that they told the people in charge of the performance what was going on. And then based on the timeline of events, which the chief will not speak about, it seems like nothing was done about that being told to them. Is that what you're gathering?
And we're not here to confirm or deny those accounts.
And we are not here to confirm or deny those accounts. Okay. Let's just scroll down for you.
In terms of the security guard that I discussed on Saturday.
Now, this is interesting.
If you can remember, members of the medical team in the medical tent said that a male security guard had come in and said that somebody had pricked his neck. And we felt that it could have been something ingested. We did locate that security guard. His story is not consistent with that. He says he was struck in his head. He went unconscious. He woke up in the security tent. He says that no one injected drugs in him. So we want to clear that part up.
That changes a lot of things. And I wonder why that person changed their story. Here was the initial statement. Oh, my bad. Let's make it smaller again.
Was that some individual was injecting other people with drugs. We do have a report of a security officer, according to the medical staff that was out and treated him last night, that he was reaching over to restrain or grab a citizen, and he felt a prick in his neck. When he was examined, he went unconscious. They administered Narcan. He was revived, and the medical staff did notice a prick that was similar to a prick that you would get if somebody's trying to inject. That is one part of it. The other thing that's very important, there were some individuals that were trampled, and we want to be respectful of that. But we just ask that y'all give us time to do a proper investigation. Live Nation has stated from the very beginning that they would cooperate. They're going to give us the video sometime this evening. I spoke to my commander in homicide. So we're waiting to get that. That's going to help us. But I also want to call out to the community, kids and young individuals that was out there. If you've seen something, say something. This is now a criminal investigation that's going to involve our homicide division as well as narcotics. And we're
He said a lot on Saturday, didn't he? That was very clear information. So to now say, we did locate that security guard. His story is not consistent with that. He says he was struck in his head and he went unconscious. He woke up in a security tent. He says that no one injected drugs in him, so we want to clear that part up. The first statement sounded much more detailed and accurate. What do you think? I don't know if they located that security guard. Did they? Maybe a security guard. I'm just like, wow, that first statement was very convincing and saying it was a homicide investigation, it's a criminal investigation including homicide and narcotics. Okay, I heard that loud and clear. I don't know about you.
So at this moment, we'll open it up for questions.
Okay, now excuse my transcriptions here because sometimes I couldn't hear the questions properly, but I typed what I could, right? So they were asking, will criminal charges be involved? That part I heard. I can understand the gist of the question. And we'll see now. I love his face there. He said, I'm not sure and I'm not comfortable with saying that. What I will tell you is that we're not going to leave any stones unturned.
I'm not sure and I'm not comfortable with saying that. I will tell you that we're not going to leave any stones unturned. Let me get back here in the back and then we'll get you. Let me get it and I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
So the guy, she said, you said that you spoke with Travis Scott before the concert and raised concerns. So let's take let's take this out. And he didn't say twice. He just said before. You said you spoke with Travis Scott before the concert, okay? And raised concerns about public safety. At that time, did you believe that this would be a safe event?
Yeah, I had no reason to believe that it wasn't going to be safe. But I'm the kind of chief that I meet with people whenever I can, and that includes him. And we had a very respectful, few-minute conversation on my concerns.
Okay, you're the kind of chief that meets with people whenever you can. Which people? What kind of people? All people? Can I also meet him? Now 3, I wrote here Brian Enton. It really sounds like Brian Enton. And I know he was there also interviewing witnesses, security guards. So you listen and you let me know if you think this is Brian Enton.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll get you. I'll get you. Just 1 second. Y'all calm down. Okay, we'll get you. I'll get
Here
you
we
next.
go.
Okay?
Here we go.
I'll get you next. Hold up. We got it.
I know you have a relationship with Travis Scott, as do other leaders in the city. Do you think you can fairly investigate this, and do you think there should be an independent?
Let me clarify something.
Okay, he's getting very defensive here. But that was Brian Enton, right? It definitely sounds exactly like Brian Enton. So let me know in the comments below if you agree with that. Was that, I feel like saying, was that our boy? Was that our guy? Brian, he was in the room. I don't know. I think we all feel connected to him somehow through this Gabby Petito coverage, right? So he was asking, we know that you have a relationship with Travis Scott, as do other leaders in the city. Do you think you can investigate this fairly? And do you think there should be an independent? And then it's sort of muffled out because he got a little bit spoken over, but an independent investigation.
Something. I'm glad you asked that. I'm a 54-year-old man, 32 years on this. I meet a lot of people. I was born and raised in here in Houston.
Oh, one more time.
Okay, y'all calm down. Okay, we'll get you. I'll get you next. Okay. I'll get you next. Hold up. We got it.
I know you have a relationship with Travis Scott.
That's Brian Enton.
Leaders in the city. Do you think you can fairly investigate this, and do you think there should be an independent?
Let me clarify something. I'm glad you asked that. I'm a 54-year-old man, 32 years on this. I meet a lot of people. I was born and raised in here in Houston.
Oh, he's getting very defensive here. That's all I'm noticing. Like, whoa, that was a question. Brian Enton knows what to ask to get people all fired up. I just want to do the math quickly. 54-year-old man, 32 years on this. So when he was 22 years, he must have joined the police department. A lot of people. I was born and raised here in Houston. Okay, so
if somebody's referring to a special relationship, if you call meeting him twice, special relationship, and I'm not being smart, I just want to be open and transparent. That's not a close relationship to me.
Now what I want to say is that not one time did the interviewer or Brian Enton say special relationship or close relationship. He just said, we know that you have a relationship with Travis Scott, as do other leaders in the city. No one said special or close.
I've only spoken to him twice. So let's put that to rest. Go. Next question.
So he's like, let's put that to rest. Let's put that to rest. But then I'm just going to say Brian Enton carried on saying, well, do you think it should be an independent investigation? So while Chief Troy Finner is pointing at someone else and ready for the next question, he gets so annoyed by him continuing to say, well, do you think it should be an independent investigation, that he literally looks back at him. He looks back at him and says, I think we're good on this one.
I think we're good on ours.
I think we're good on ours, right? So, this other question.
Is there a focus of the criminal investigation on anything he did or didn't do?
I'm not.
So, this lady, when was the last time you spoke with Travis Scott, and is there a focus of the criminal investigation on anything he did or didn't do on stage? And the answer is, I'm not going to speak on that. I just told you I met him twice. One time was yeah, no, before the concert, the same as my statement.
I'm going to speak to that. I told you, I told you I met him twice. One time was, yeah. No, before the concert. Just saying.
Met him twice before the concert. Okay. I'm sorry for giggling. I just find it funny that he gets so defensive about this. special relationship, which no one said special and no one said close. Just like, we know you have a relationship. He's like, no, I do not have a relationship with him. I met him twice.
Same as my statement. Go ahead, ma'am.
Chief, there have been calls
Yeah.
for an independent investigation by an agency outside of Houston, outside of Harris County. Even the county judge has mentioned she wants an independent investigation. Can you say why you haven't turned things over to DPS, to the Texas Rangers, or to the FBI?
Because I'm really confident in who we are here at HPD, and I think we can do our own investigation. And let's not jump ahead of things. We're only a few days into this, and I'm pretty confident of what our investigators are doing already. So go ahead.
So this person asked, I'll tell you why I say this now. You know, there's been a call for an independent investigation by an agency outside of Houston. Here he answers the question just fine, but later when someone says independent investigation, he really doesn't like that term. So we'll see that here.
Can you help us understand how exactly the concert came to an end? As you watch the live stream of the concert, it appears that Travis Scott completes his set as he has performed in the weeks ahead of this. How was there no word, or where was the failure in ending this concert?
I don't know, and that's part of the investigation. And I know y'all know everybody's is pretty savvy.
Everybody's pretty savvy. I know y'all know. Everybody's pretty savvy. I like the way he says that. It's like, that's the nature of the times we live in. You know, people are always fearing Big Brother, like, oh, they're infringing on our privacy, right? Yeah, but the bad side of the coin for authorities of that is that now we can also watch everything that they're doing, and we get to see the live stream of the concert, and we get to see things that ordinarily back in the day we wouldn't see in any criminal investigation. Now we see it all. We're there. You know, we are there. What? And that must be so annoying for them, but it's just the nature of the times, right?
You've been looking, and the timelines have moved, and that
You've been looking, and yeah, we have been looking, and the timelines have been moved. Oh,
that's why we shouldn't jump ahead of things. Let's just wait. That's part of the investigation, and we can promise you we're going to do a thorough investigation.
Just help us understand, did he end his concert early?
The concert was supposed to leave at I think the original time was what we say is 2300. That's 11 p.m. Okay.
was it though? From 9 until 11? Is it normally 2 hours? I don't know. Because it seemed like he played his whole set, so how did that speed along? How did it finish 50 minutes early if he supposedly played all the songs that he was going to?
Yeah. I'm not sure that's part of the investigation. Go ahead. Go ahead. Gotcha. Go ahead. I'll come back around. We're investigating anything, any and every aspect of this. And
I like the distancing language. We're investigating anything, any and every aspect of this. Okay, but what is this? That was the question. This, what is it? I'm not comfortable saying because we're on the preliminary, very early stages of it. So I owe it, our department owes it to the families, just as I said, to look at every aspect. How, why it happened. So what is this and what is it?
And I'm not comfortable saying because we're on the preliminary, very early stages of it. So I owe it, our department owe it to those families. Just as I said, to look at every aspect, how, why it happened, okay? In the back here, and I'm going to come back around, y'all. I'll get you, yeah. Hold up, we're going to get around, yeah, go ahead.
Does anyone in the department have the authority or ability to end the show?
When you say authority and ability to end the show, we don't hold the plug, okay? But it's always in a plan, and it's always discussion of how that would happen. And that discussion was had with we had those discussions, I meant to say, with the promoters.
It's always in the plan. Even the word Smurfs was in the plan. And it's always discussion of how that would happen. And that discussion was had with, we had those discussions, I meant to say, with the promoters. That's such a weird sentence. That discussion was had with, we had those discussions, I meant to say, with the promoters. It's so weird how he like corrects himself there. That discussion was had with, that sounds like maybe after. And then to correct that, saying, we had those discussions, I meant to say, with the promoters.
Go ahead.
Chief, you mentioned that HPD officers were in communication
I'm not going to discuss timelines, okay, right now.
So that was just, I typed there, you know, asking about the time that people got medical attention. A whole bunch of people. What time was that? He said, I'm not going to discuss timelines.
Yeah.
Why they didn't go above the production staff, communicate perhaps with HFD to get firefighters in?
I'm not going to discuss because I don't have all the facts right now, and it's just premature. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to come and get you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you just explain who, like, had the ultimate jurisdiction over the event if you were going to end it? Like, is that you guys?
It has to be. It has to be a group. The ultimate authority to end a show is with production and the entertainer, okay? And that should be through communication with public safety officials.
Remember in the beginning when we looked at the first sentence, one of the first sentences we looked at up there, which was about them communicating that people were receiving CPR and sort of communicating the situation to production, and that it seemed like production they didn't communicate that to the entertainer or anyone really, that they just carried on with the show. So that's what it seems to be, is the nature of the investigation. It's that and possibly narcotics. But if they take the injection thing out of the picture, then I guess the criminal investigation would be that the police did everything they could to communicate the message to production, which then would have to communicate it to the entertainer or for production to pull the plug, and they decided not to.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll get you in the back. Yeah. Go ahead.
There's been one public report we've seen that perhaps some of the concert goers were suffering medical distress from laced drugs. Do you credit that report? Is that
I don't know, and that's
You can see the closed caption says police drugs, and I was first like, wait, what? But he said laced drugs. Concert goers were suffering medical distress from laced drugs. Do you credit that too? And then already he said, I don't know, that's part of our investigation as well.
part of our investigation as well. And when I say we're looking at all aspects, we really are. We owe it to them. We really owe it. I'm not ruling anything out at this point. Somebody had a question over here. In the back, I didn't get you. Go ahead. We'll get you. Yeah.
Just follow up on that question on the narcotic side. I know that initially on Saturday you said that there were rumors you have heard about narcotics being used or at least being passed on. Do you have any proof or any confirmation?
No, it's allegations, and I just went over one with our security guard, okay?
So those are part of the rumors, speculations, allegations, is this laced drugs and people being injected. So he was asking something about that. I heard like methamphetamine, so I don't know if that's the right word I heard. But he was asking about drugs, and he said, no, it's allegations, and I just went over one with our security guard, okay? So that means went over one incident of this story with a security guard, and then he allegedly debunked that story.
Okay, go ahead, right here in the middle.
Yeah, some people have voiced their safety concerns after the people barged into the concert before it even started. Could the concert have been started before it even, or could the concert have been canceled before it even began?
I don't think so. I don't think that's fair to those individuals who paid a lot of money to come in. I think we quickly got that under control. Now, I will tell you, especially people that are familiar with Houston and that layout, it's very challenging to blocks and blocks of fencing. And we knew that that was going to be a problem with kids who, I don't know if they can't afford to get in. Those tickets are very pricey. That doesn't give you an excuse to try to jump a fence. But that was a concern. But once they breached, we quickly got that under control, and we didn't have any major injuries. So we went on with the show.
So what's interesting is that was the public concern, or that he probably raised with Travis Scott, of like, this area isn't great with the blocks and blocks of fencing, and that lots of people could actually jump over this to get to the concert. That seems like the production or whoever shouldn't have had the concert there, because it's actually not a safe venue to have the concert if lots of people can jump over fences and get to the crowd.
Go ahead, and I'll get you on the end there as well. Yeah.
You said it's up to the concert promoters or producers to end the show itself, but who has security jurisdiction over at that point to kind of?
It's always the ranking officer out there. Okay.
So is that
and
county or is it HPD?
no, it's at this time it was HPD officers and other agencies out there, but the highest ranking officer was, and I can, in fact, I told you in the statement, we did notify them. Okay, over here in the corner. We'll come back and get you.
The scale of this investigation, how many concert goers you guys have already interviewed, how many pieces of
I'm not sure, numerous, and hours and hours of video already, and we still have some video to come. So it's very intense, and
I mean, that's a difficult question to answer based on the scale of the investigation. How many concert goers have the authorities interviewed? And for him, he said, I'm not sure. Numerous and hours of video already, and we still have some video to come. So it's very intense and it's a lot. I mean, I'm sure it is. Imagine going through hours and hours of video, but like, I mean, frame by frame by frame by frame. It's got to be an exhausting job. I just want to put a disclaimer in here right now that I don't want to show disrespect to the police chief. I'm just breaking down the communication so that we can try to make sense of what is going on here, or maybe try our best to read between the lines. You know what I mean?
it's a lot. Go ahead, right here.
Chief, I'm not certain
Ted.
how to interpret your comments about the private security, that you're not confident with their numbers. If I could expand on that,
Yeah.
how confident are you that HPD had the tools it needed out there and had enough cooperation?
That's that's part of the investigation. It really is. What I wanted to put emphasis on, if I'm not comfortable with the numbers and I with the security company, because some of the records that we presented to us, it's just not good records. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about.
So yeah, the person was just asking, how do we interpret your comments about the security companies? And he said that's part of the investigation. So the inappropriate, cheap labor part of security is a huge problem. And I wonder if in 2018 and 2019 it was the same sort of setup.
I'm not gonna point fingers at them. I want us to review the tapes, okay? Because if a tape showing even somebody from my agency doing the wrong thing, you know what? And the most important thing, I'm telling you as chief of police, this is my agency. We're gonna hold people accountable, and I think that the family, we owe that to them, and people have to understand. And that's why we're moving with this investigation and doing the best job that we can do on it. We owe that to them. We owe it to the city. We owe it to our nation, and we need to learn lessons from this.
Yes, that's the goal. I think in a lot of true crime, right? The goal is always to learn lessons from this. Well, just from life events in general, but especially when it involves murder of any kind, death, wrongful death. What can we learn from this? If you haven't yet checked out my video, I made a video of how to survive crowd crush. So go check that out and share that with your friends and family. It might help someone. You never know. I did list the source article as well there. There's a couple of those types of articles out there. I chose the one that's the most informative, and we went over it step by step. So he did say, I'm telling you as chief of police, this is my agency. We're going to hold people accountable, right? And he said, even if it means people within the police department. So he mentioned this at least 3 or 4 times throughout this whole interview, which implies that they're investigating their own department as well. You know, I don't know for what or how, but it's interesting.
Chief, on the issue of public safety, just real quick, we know that Mr. Scott has had 2 previous citations for crowd incidents. After this incident, would you support an additional permit being issued for one of his concerts in the future?
That's not my decision to make. That's not my decision to make, and I'm not going to speak on it. I hope, and I'll tell you this, because I never, if it's Mr. Scott or anybody, I don't speak on things that I don't have the authority. I am the police chief. But you know what? I hope that those individuals that are making that decision and how that, they consider all this, okay? We have 8 people dead and 2 in the hospital. Very critical. Let me get back here, and then we'll bump around right quick. Who hadn't answered the question? Let me get y'all too, okay, after him, okay?
Thank you, Chief.
Go ahead.
So we talked to several people who were at the concert, and as this was happening, they described they were in that crowd towards the stage. There was really nowhere for them to go. And we talked to a medic who went in to help, and he described there not being any way for people to get out.
Yeah.
And when they did get out, they said what was happening, and they either weren't believed, and somebody said something to the effect of, it's a mosh pit, what do you expect? Who is accountable for that? And additionally,
So who is accountable for people not being able to move around there in the mosh pits, you know, that once they were stuck in there, they're all stuck, they couldn't move even when there were casualties, fatalities around them, and people were panicking, they couldn't move. So he says, who is responsible for that?
The fact that this did go on for nearly 40 minutes after the first call of trouble.
I'm not gonna lay fact to that timeline right now, okay? But everybody, again, that's part of the investigation. Those who need to be held accountable will be held accountable, okay? Let's go down here on the end.
There were dozens of HPD officers working privately.
He actually said dozens. There were dozens. I read hundreds, but dozens, because he said 530. But dozens of HPD officers at the event. And then he asked a question like, why is it appropriate for HPD to be leading this investigation?
Off duty at the event. There were hundreds of HPD officers who provided
Hundreds.
security during the event as responding on duty, and the security response in general that involves HPD is part of the investigation. So why is it appropriate for HPD to be leading this investigation as a homicide investigation, or leading it at all?
Why is it not?
Because you're
But I'm saying, why is it not? And then I'm finna follow up with you. We investigate ourselves all the time, but
We investigate ourselves all the time. Right? I like how, again, he's like, why is it not? Good question. It's a defensive question, but like, why is it appropriate for HPD to be investigating this, to be the lead on the investigation when you had HPD officers there? And he's like, why is it not? We investigate ourselves all the time.
what if we find out that HPD is really not the target? If
Interesting. Which means, what if we find out that HPD is really not the target? That implies that right now they are the target.
we do, if somebody did do something wrong, let me tell you something. I'm proud of what we do here in Houston. So I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just trying to be honest with you.
Okay, now we're going to get to the independent investigation stuff. But you say, what if we find out that HPD is really not the target? If we do, if somebody did do something wrong. And then he says, let me tell you something, I'm proud of what we do here in Houston. So I'm not trying to be smart, I'm just trying to be honest with you. No, but what happens? You never answer if you do find out that somebody did do something wrong.
Everybody, this independent investigation is this new fashion word, okay? Independent investigation for what? Where are we right now? We're nowhere right now. When we get to somewhere, if I told you, I'm quick to involve our federal partners. And I'm not
Well, apparently the meeting's already on Friday and they've already announced that they are involved, right?
against the independent investigation when it's warranted. It's not warranted right now, okay? I hope that answers it. Go in the back, because I hadn't got you. Yes, ma'am, right there. Have I got you? These are the last. Let's do 3 more questions, y'all. I'm not going to be able to answer everything today. Can I hear? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. No, ma'am.
I like how he's like, first looks at her like, no ma'am. You've not spoken to Mrs. Scott after this event.
Chief, I just have a question.
Good.
On that, I know you said you didn't want to talk about the timeline, but there are lawyers or other people who are alleging that the gates were overrun early in the morning, as early as 9:23, based on the radio traffic.
Yeah.
By Houston.
He's not loving that. I just want to see if I can move this in any way. To show up correctly on screen here. It's going to be difficult.
Police and Houston Fire, that the fences had been breached as early as 10 a.m. Is that correct? What is your response?
That's part of the investigation. It was a. Hey, wait a minute. Just give me, please, okay? That's part of the investigation. That was one breach, and I think we admitted to that, okay?
He said, I think we admitted to that, okay? Okay. So, the gates were breached already at 10 a.m.
Let me get you, sir. Let me get you up. Ma'am, that's it. That's it, please. Ma'am,
25 people were arrested.
could
So
you,
they were involved. There were crimes being committed.
Okay, but that lady is very disrespectful.
How come no police officer had the authority to stop it when people had died?
you can go on. You can go on. I'm not going to answer your question, ma'am. You're not the only one in the room. Go ahead, sir.
I need to learn some boundary setting from him. Oh, you can go on, but I'm not going to answer your question. You're not the only one in the room.
Given what you
Let's
said
be
about
respectful.
people overrunning these merchandise tents, can you tell us what they were after, and if this is some smoking gun indicator to you that perhaps lying?
I'm sorry, I just do love that. I love that part. It's so funny. I love it.
Could you,
Just one more. Just, I want to do this like this.
They were involved. There
Look at him.
were crimes being
So annoyed.
How come no police officer had the authority to stop it when people had died?
you can go on.
That's just
You can go on. I'm not going to answer your question, ma'am. You're not the only one in the room. Go
But I want to show you now when he says, just let's be respectful. It's so good.
ahead, sir.
Given what you
Let's
said
be
about
respectful.
people over
Let's be respectful. Got to take lessons from this guy.
running these merchandise tents, can you tell us
Okay, they're going to ask more about the merchandise tents here. Given the fact that people are overrunning what to get to merchandise tents, right?
what they were after, and if this is some smoking gun indicator to you that perhaps Live Nation and others who you'll investigate had a very cavalier attitude?
I'm not comfortable with speaking to that right now. Let us get through the investigation. Hey,
Right? So that's why I'm saying, what kind of merchandise were they really trying to get their hands on? My opinion, my personal opinion is that it was something that could get the wild ones in. As Travis Scott said, those were his words. I'm going to get the wild ones in, bring on the rage. If you can all run in, there'll be, let's say, for example, 500 caps. And if you wear that cap, you're in. And that he would tell whoever that if you see people wearing that cap, that then they're in. You know what I mean? I'm just saying it's something like that because people were friggin' trying to get so badly trying to get to that merch. That's what they were originally, according to these statements, trying to get in for.
hey, one more. One more. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How do you explain that there were more than 500 HPD officers inside the venue, and yet there was no alert outside that something needed to happen, that this event needed to stop for safety reasons?
I'm not sure that all 500 were in the inside. That was our total officers, and I'm not going to speak specifically to alerts and all that. I can tell you alerts went out. I can tell you that our officers on the perimeter set up egress for HFD, the ambulances and everything, and that's all I can say at this point. But look, one final question. Go ahead.
And I love how he's just like me, like struggles to say goodbye, like one more question. Okay, one final question. And then at the end, he's like, okay, this is the last one.
Yep.
I do that too.
Live Nation executives or higher up officials within that organization could be held responsible for what is happening?
I'm not saying anything. That's not for me to determine. It's for my agency to conduct the investigation, okay? And that's for attorneys. It could be civil, it could be criminal. I'm just not ready to speak to that right now. We're not there, okay? Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
Tierney says, thank you. Ready to pack up. He said one more. But then there's one more. You said earlier in your remarks that you would call someone that CPR was in progress. Call someone CPR, or you told that you told someone that CPR was in progress.
It was, and this is the last one. It was one of the officials with the production company.
Again, that's the third time he said that. So it was one of the officials with the production company, and that's where the chain broke. The chain of communication broke there with one of the officials with the production company.
Who has to? Yeah. I don't want to speak to this as part of the investigation. Okay.
Interesting. What was their reaction to HPD saying, hey, these people receiving CPR? What was that official at the production company's reaction. And the police chief says, I don't want to speak to that because it's part of the investigation. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And look, this is me on the way out of every live stream. You guys know this. Look now, as he walks out, people are still going, blah, 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 and he still says one or two more things.
Thank y'all. Thank you. All right.
This is how I say goodbye. Literally, that's how I say goodbye. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right. Ooh, there's one more question. Okay, no, thank you. Thanks. One more? Okay, so I'm going now. I do this all the time. You guys know it. Okay, so let's put this off and this off for a second. Move myself across. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. I think it was very interesting. I think there's a lot we could read into it, you know? And I definitely think that the issue, and maybe even the whole criminal investigation, could be with the production team receiving the news that there were fatalities, and that at that point nothing was done. The message wasn't passed on to the entertainer, which is Travis Scott. The message wasn't passed on to anyone else who could pull the plug, stop the event, or do anything like that. That possibly, literally, whoa. Imagine if Travis Scott really didn't know. But the thing is, he did see an ambulance coming into the crowd. But the thing is, he probably would have seen that many times. He's at many concerts, all of a similar size. So this was the third Astroworld event. So I don't know what makes this different. There is a criminal investigation, so there is some kind of narcotics link, maybe laced drugs. I don't know if any HPD police officers are involved in any sort of deals or anything, because they've been being investigated too. There's the production person who didn't pass on the message, all kinds of stuff. Very interesting though, very interesting. I'll rather make other videos. I wanted to show you, I've got things to show you still, like map time of now. You guys, thank you for helping me. A few of you, I think 5 or 6 of you have sent me the name of the hotel where he would have stayed, or where he allegedly stayed, and then narrowed down where you think which Dave and Buster's they went to. The after party, of course. The one slip up that I found in Travis Scott's statements there about him going to the after party was kind of him saying, and this is just from articles I've read, so I didn't see this as like a direct quote, but it's kind of saying, oh, but we didn't realize that there were fatalities because of anything like homicide, or that, I don't know, he said something like, oh, we thought it was just drug overdoses. That's still hectic, but maybe he's so desensitized by the drug world, and maybe people die quite frequently around him or at his concerts, I don't know, from drug overdoses or something. Interesting. It's just, it's very interesting to think that he's like, I don't know, we thought it was from drug overdoses. I don't know. I mean, how do we know we don't know at this point. We've got to wait for information. We don't even know, if I were to really go wild on speculation, what if some of the stuff that they had to run in and grab was laced with drugs, or was drugs, or I don't know. We just don't know. Don't know. Anyway, we will hang tight, see what other information is released. It will take time though. It's going to take time. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please hit the thumbs up or give it a hug. Leave your comments below. I always enjoy reading your thoughts and opinions, especially on matters like this. And thank you so much for your support to everyone who watched my previous video, for all your encouraging comments on what I asked you there. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go, and I'll see you in the next one. Got plenty more to make.